live right now. Hi, everyone who is joining in today. Let me see if we are live yet. It looks like there might be a little bit of a pause, a little bit of a delay, so I'm just talking. Okay, so now everyone, hello, we are live. We are live on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. We are live on pretty much every platform that I am on. And we are live with Build Your Brand. Now, I am so excited today because we have a very special guest. His name is Bradley Vinson, and he is known as Bradley Teaches. Bradley, we'd love to hear a little bit about you and what you do. Please share.
Yes. First of all, thank you so much for bringing me on today. And in a nutshell, what I do is I help content creators and businesses enhance their videos with graphics, either by showing them how, or doing them for them, or training other people how to do them for them. So that's basically what I do right now, and just helping people create, keep creating. So that's what I
Amazing.
help people do. So.
So I'm going to drop as a link right now on LinkedIn the free mini course that he's created for everyone. Here's And we're going to talk today about some super fun stuff, and that's how to think about how you brand your beautiful, beautiful videos. So as you can see here, I am so fortunate because I have these beautiful lower thirds that actually Bradley created for me. In fact, I'm going to toggle them on and off so you can see the lovely animation. It's very cool, and I am currently using Ecamm on top of Restream in order to be able to do these lower thirds. So we're going to go into a little bit about how you can think about branding your live streams or your videos. And I think it's honestly really interesting to talk about branding live streams, because videos, of course, we know we can put all this fun stuff and edit them and post, but live streams, well, quite frankly, they're live. So we want to make
Right.
sure that we are doing them properly. And
Yes.
before I do that, I want to make sure I shout out Restream. Thank you for sponsoring this amazing live stream. And that's how we're able to go live across all these platforms. Feel free to use this code and save $10. So Bradley, let's get into it. First of all, why do we want to brand our live streams?
Well, I mean, we want to own our content, right? We want to have a lasting effect on those that are viewing our content. And just like when you watch television, right? Every now and then you'll see that NBC logo or that HBO logo or whatever else. They just want you to say, hey, you got this content here. And we want to do the same thing with our live videos. At any point, at any given time, I tell people a good way to test if you're branding properly, just cut out any 10-minute, a 10-second segment of your video, and can anybody tell who that video belongs to? And if they can't, you're probably not branding your video well. And so,
That's
I mean, that's key.
That is such an interesting and intelligent way to think about branding your video content. I'm going to put back on these beautiful lower thirds again. And in case you're wondering why I'm talking through this, I am the least technical person on the face of the planet, and I am trying to be very conscientious right now about properly using my lower thirds. Now, one of the things that I do all the time, and we can talk about this, is I do a lot of interviews. So, of course, I'm interviewing someone right now for my show.
Yep.
So, when we're thinking about a two-person show, an interview show, Bradley, how should we be thinking about branding that?
Yeah, I would say you want to be cognizant of the other person that's on your show and let them own their part of the screen, right? Because in a lot of cases, when you use other software packages that you may be using the free version of, the logo placement is glued in, right? So, for instance, right now, you and I are sharing the screen. And if you also had your logo bug on my side of the screen, you're using up some of that real estate that you're letting me borrow right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're taking space from me. And so when you brand that, you want to just be nice to your guest. Move your branding to your side of the screen. Move your tagline to your side of the screen. But if there's going to be real estate that you're going to put your graphics on, make it go across both sides of the screen to just kind of say, hey, I'm the host. But just be nice to your guests. Let them own as much as they can their side of the screen and be clean of your personal branding. That's one thing you want to definitely look out for.
So, one thing that I think is interesting that you just mentioned is offering up real estate on your screen. So, I'm going to show this again just because it's great. And once again, Bradley made it. So, I like to just show it again. But what I could do here instead, what you're saying, Bradley, is if, for example, you're selling your book or your course or whatever it is that you are currently have for sale, I could have dropped that as this lower link and we could mention it, right? And so that's a really interesting way about thinking about branding your live streams as well, a really smart way so you can do that predictively for your live stream guest. Any other ideas for how to visually promote or help your guest?
Yeah. Another thing that you want to do is also, if they have an area of expertise, kind of like I have an area of expertise, right, doing graphics. At some point, you might want to say, hey, what is your website? What hashtags do you use? How can people get in contact with you? And if they have their own graphics, they may be able to show them on their side of the screen, or you just help promote them along the way, but still be branded to you. You still want people to know they are watching Goldie's video, right? I think one thing where another way to kind of be nice to your guests that I really want to emphasize is that a lot of times when you use that bug graphic, if you put it in the lower area, that's great. But typically when you're on screen by yourself, like I'm here by myself, you can see my logo behind me, right? If I put a graphic on the screen, I would have it kind of in the air, kind of over here, right?
Right.
If you showed up on the screen with me, that would be like almost touching your forehead. So you always have to be, cognizant of, I'm not on the screen alone.
Right.
What can I give them to help them promote, right? And so, and even kind of coach your guests through, hey, do you have any graphics that you want to show? If I put you full screen, how will that look? And just kind of help your guests, be comfortable and say, hey, I'm going to share this space with you, even though it's my audience or it's my video. So you just want to kind of make sure of those things.
And I think that's super smart. So I know that especially in the beginning of last year, right? I'm doing a lot of live streams with people who have never been on a live stream before. And now I think so many of us have, at the very minimum, been Zooming a ton with different folks. And so being, I think, cognizant, yes, of your headspace too, because I will show this to you to terrify everyone. Please don't do a screen cap of it. But what you don't want is this, right, in the camera. What you want is to have some nice headspace. And so I think that's what you're saying too, is just to coach the other people who are going to be your guests on your live stream too, if they're doing that, to be thoughtful about not getting too close to the camera. Because I think that's the number one thing is I usually never see people too far away.
Right.
People are always just too too close. Now, one thing I want to talk about that I personally love with branding is colors. So I think it's really helpful when we're thinking about how to visually brand our live streams to think about our color palette. What are your thoughts?
Right. I mean, because color evokes an emotion.
Right.
There's a reason that Walmart uses the colors they use, or McDonald's uses the color they use, or Mercedes uses the colors they use, right? And so you need to be thinking in those same ways, because I know that blue is kind of like a calming color. It shows confidence. It shows loyalty. You see what I'm saying? So you want people feel comfortable when I teach, right? Even oddly enough, you and I are even using the same gel colors behind us. And we mentioned that in some conversation before. Wow, you're using purples and things, right?
I love
Colors
that
are
we're both
soothing.
wearing blue and using the purple. And this was, by the way, this was definitely 0% planned, everyone.
No,
This
no
is
plan.
totally spontaneous. We just happen to own the exact same wardrobe, in case you're wondering.
Right, right. Well, what's funny is that I have my shirts in like 5 different, But I said, you know what? I'm on somebody else's show today,
Mm-hmm.
and my community is used to me changing colors. But
Ah,
for my brand, and I'm getting on as a guest today, I definitely want to wear one of my blue shirts because I have gray, I have black, which I just kind of change out in my community, right? I just feel like something different. But when I'm going on as a guest, I always make sure I wear blue. I'm in my brand colors, and I have my glasses on, so it's all part of the whole thing, right? And so, yeah. So, but definitely, I picked my brand colors for that reason. Even though blue is my favorite color, I still like the color for what it portrays and the feeling that it gives people.
and
So definitely, yeah, colors
that's
really
super
matter.
smart. And I really like that pro tip that when you are a guest on someone else's live stream, it helps in general to wear colors. Now, I own a prolific black wardrobe. And, of course, I own black and gray clothes. It's my goth side, what can I say? And it's also just so easy. But when you are doing things like visually on camera on a live stream, it's so helpful
Right,
to be wearing colors, right? Especially when it's just this little frame right here. So
right,
just make sure that you are wearing colors. I think close to your neck is helpful, especially when you're doing a two-person live stream like
right,
this. Sometimes I see people wear really low cut shirts, which I will say, unfortunately, sometimes it makes you look naked
right, right,
if you are not careful. So it's nice to have color close to your neck, just because of the way the video crops. But also, I like what you said, Bradley, about choosing a color that folks will recognize later, so they have that unconscious recognition of your brand. Obviously for me it's this, so I don't
right,
have
right,
to try
right,
too hard for this, but as everyone can see the background, and I would switch to just you, but let's be honest, technically I don't really want to do that right now. But as people can
right,
probably see in the background, your logo image is in the background, which has you in the glasses. So that means that you generally want to be in glasses when you are doing your live stream or when you're guesting, because
right,
people will then
right.
associate
And
that.
exactly. And right now, some of the things that I teach people, and if folks take the mini course, they'll learn also about bugs and different things. But I myself am so branded when I get online now. I call myself my own little personal NASCAR, right? So, because essentially I'm the logo, I'm
Right.
wearing the logo, and the logo is on the wall behind me. And so it's like, okay, at any given moment, this is a Bradley Teaches video outside of the literal text being on the screen. So when you get to that point, you can start playing with your branding a little bit, but you have to get those core things locked in to at least start the branding process and have people recognize that it's your content.
Yeah, and so I think I feel that this is truly branding 101. This is where I start a lot of times when talking to executives about their brand, which is, what is your brand story? And we break that down into keywords. But if we want to talk about just the visual side, once we've understood our brand story and we understand our keywords, then it's, what are the colors that evoke that emotion?
Right,
What are maybe the logos if they don't have a logo or they want to do their own personalized logo? What are the logos that work with that? What are the fonts, even the font
right,
choices? Because if this was a super scrolly font that was very difficult to read but looked really ancient, maybe that would be appropriate if, say, I was discussing ancient books and that was my brand. Unfortunately, that's not my brand, so that's not the font that I'm using. But I think it's
right.
helpful to think about all of that in a package, so that way too, when you're doing things like branding your live stream, that becomes so much easier, right?
Right. And what I tell people, I mean, as a rule of thumb, just because your logo works on a business card does not mean it's going to work in video, because a business card or a brochure is a static object. Video is constantly moving, things are going on behind the text and things like that, right? So even reading a book is different than looking at text on video. So I always want people to lean into sans serif fonts, which means fonts with no feet, not Times New Roman, not Palatino. Serif means feet, so no feet. So you want Helvetica, Futura, fonts because in a video they're just easier to read at smaller sizes. Remember that. Also, if you're going to use a frilly, I call them frilly fun fonts, you got to make them big. You got to make them like title size that almost fill up the whole screen. And that's okay if you're going to do announcements or an intro to your video. But once you have content on the screen that needs to be read, READ, not RED, legible, I guess is the better word to say. Once you have
Yes.
text on the screen that needs to be legible, make sure it's sans serif, even if you have to go away from your logo. So if you have a frilly butterfly for your logo, it might not work as a video bug. You might just want to say the butterfly guru and just put it in
Right.
text, right?
Right.
And so you have to think about those things where you don't have to use all your standard graphics because now you're in video and you may have to rethink some of those things.
And I think that's so smart that it also is helpful to think about animations in videos. So, as I showed you, everyone here who's listening in before, this one is very slightly animated, and I actually like it staying on the screen. Of course, there's versions where it goes off the screen, but I like having it extra branded who I am and who my guest is. So, anyone who's jumping in really quickly, even in the middle of this
Right.
live stream, will know who my guest is without having to Google it or even read the description. And I think that's super, super helpful. But that is a great way to start thinking about your live streams, is how can you put in really cool animated graphics. And I will say, one of the neatest things about these graphics that we're currently looking at, that once again Bradley made, is that they were designed in Keynote. So they weren't designed in a super, super complex program that is impossible to learn. This is definitely super doable. And a lot of live stream companies, they also have the ability to do just animated, at least simplistic graphics
Right.
that scroll in and out and things like that. So it depends on the live streaming software that you use too, but you can do it all, which is super interesting to me, internally using the programs themselves.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of programs have some graphics built into them because I'm an Ecamm user too, and actually a Restream user, right? To push my videos all over the world, I say. But because Ecamm is a Mac product, I show people how to use Keynote, which is free on every Mac.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for the extended audiences, I show them how to use Canva to do the same thing because it can be done with simple software. And I pride myself in that. I've been a graphic designer nearly 30 years. And I tell people, I've been a designer for 30 years, so you don't have to. Let me show you how to use something simple to create these pro looking effects. So it's been a fun kind of thing to do to
And
help people.
in case
Yeah.
anyone is interested in getting some really lovely editable, I think that's the right word,
Yes.
graphics done for their live stream, please hire Bradley. He's super reasonably priced, and he makes really cool graphics, as you can already see. In fact, I'm going to one more time show this amazing sponsor bar because it is animated. So I want to show what a simple animation can look like. But what's so cool about that is I gave him the simple physical file, the PNG of my little anime face version of me, and then he animated it out. And so as you can see, it's a fun animation bar, and you can hire Bradley to literally just make this for you, and then you can drop it onto your live streams, which once again is really nice to have as an extra oomph onto your live streams. I've definitely done the most basic live streams in the world without anything animated or almost any lower thirds. And let me tell you, I think it makes just such a world of difference to have good graphics on your live streams. For those of you out there who are watching this on YouTube and for some strange reason think I'm a YouTuber, I am not. And we all know that YouTube has some of the best graphics out there. So I'm hoping to bring some of these really good live stream graphics to other platforms like LinkedIn and like Twitter, because I know that it's really tough when you're doing a live stream sometimes to think about alternating, at least that's true for me, with my narrow
Right.
focus to think about alternating between different graphics and having a graphics package ready. So sometimes it is nice to walk through with someone like Bradley, who's a brand expert in this area, who can walk through what you might need in your show when you describe it. So for me, like I said, it's helpful to have a sponsor lower third because it shouts out my sponsor. For other people, it might be helpful to have a mid-roll that has a video clip in it or a still image that describes something. So all of these things are helpful to know when you're planning on doing your live stream. And also it helps break it up a little bit, I think, because not everyone wants to, I mean, I can do this and Bradley certainly can too, but not everyone wants to talk for 30 minutes or more
Right.
straight, right?
Right.
So sometimes it's helpful to have something in the middle that breaks it up or just have a little bit of animation to make it more visually stimulating.
For sure. I mean, just those little breaks in the action, I call them, little call to actions where you don't have to keep saying, hey, buy this product. Hey, get $10 off. Just play the animation while you're talking and they'll see it, right? And so it's that kind of thing. Just little reminders to have your audience do something, even to follow you, even to hit the like button, even to hit the share button. You don't have to keep saying those things. You can enhance your live video with graphics to do that for you.
And I
So,
really like that idea because I feel like it's a very YouTube thing, once again, not to talk about the total difference between ecosystems, to
right.
be like, follow, share. And I almost never say this. Everyone out there watching knows this. I almost never say to like, follow, and share any of my videos. I'm glad you're here watching it right now if you are, or watching the replay. But it is helpful to have that, I think, as a lower third bar so you don't even need to say that like
Right.
you're saying, Bradley, on the live stream, it automatically plays. And this feels so basic to me that I didn't think about this before, but it's absolutely true. It's helpful to have those just in case you want to drop it into your live stream so people
Right.
know, especially for your platform of choice. So one thing that I love to say is it's helpful to know what is your number one platform. So for me, obviously, it's LinkedIn, followed by Twitter. And then for you, Bradley, I'm going to assume it is YouTube is your home. And so it's helpful to also have those call to actions be tailored to your number one platform of choice, even if you are streaming,
Exactly. Yep.
yeah, to multiple platforms. So Bradley, anything else that you want to share with the audience? Any other tips on thinking about, you know what, we've been talking about a two-person interview show because that's what I do. But some folks maybe don't interview people all the time. What are some branding tips if you are just there by yourself on your live stream?
Yeah. Well, the mid I call it the mid-roll call to action or any kind of call to action would be awesome, especially if you're there by yourself. It can help you even if you're not changing cameras, it can just kind of help you change the flow. A graphic comes on the screen and goes away. You can start talking about a different topic, right? And so just things to kind of break the action up. You can also have sidebars if you're a big content person with bullet points. Hey, today we're going to learn about blah 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 blah, right? And then a sidebar comes in with those points in it, and people can read what you said and take notes, right?
I
'Cause
love
if you're
that
a big, yeah,
idea. That's like such a good idea, especially if you're doing basically a listicle,
right.
an explainer video, because then also people can screen cap that, save it for later.
Right. And then you're branded, right? Because it's like it's your sidebar, your colors, the whole nine. And it's it's a screen capture. It's an instant graphic that they're saving. I call this a logo intro or a logo animation. Maybe 5 to 7 seconds at the beginning of your video to kind of play in and say who you are. I would also end with what I call a follow me graphic, right? And so you're talking, and then the graphic can come up and fill the screen, and you're just talking behind it. And it has your social media links, it has your website link, it has, follow me here. Don't forget to download this goodie or whatever else, right? So all the things that you might forget to say, your follow me graphic has those things in it. And so those are all kinds of different ways to brand. Now, let me go back a half step from when we talked about color.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Here's what I tell people about design and bugs in general. If it doesn't look good in black and white, color is not going to help it. And the two easiest colors you can use in your video are
Hmm.
black and white.
Yeah.
So if you're going to make a logo bug, and the closest thing I have to a logo bug right now is this, right? Because if
Right.
this was a graphic, I'd have it on my screen, a little white circle with my head in it, right? So the easiest two colors for me to do that in are black and white. So if my background is kind of dark, I use the white one. If it's kind of light, I use the black one. Now, I'll also do a third and a fourth one in my brand colors. So if I can control my studio, like we both can, right? Every light that's on in this room, I control. There's no window, nothing like that. So I know I'm going to get this look every time I shoot a video. So I know what my graphics are going to look like. So I can say, hey, I'm going to put it over here and I'll just use the black one. I'll put it over here. I'm going to use the white one or the yellow one, right? So when you have that control, you can do that. If you don't have control, you always want to have those as kind of a backup thing, right? To place whichever one you need based on your environment. So black and white are easy. Then throw in your brand colors as extras, but always have those the two highest contrast colors available, right? Black and white.
Right.
Just in case you might be a guest on somebody's show, and even though you can kind of control your environment, your brand color might clash. So just use black or white. It just always goes together, right?
And I think that's so smart and so accurate because sometimes I see logos and they have four or more colors in them. And it just gets really muddy and confusing as
Yeah.
a logo. But if you can do really simplistic, easy to see logos in black and white, and one of the easiest ways I think to do that is to take your logo and just put it in grayscale, right? Put
Right.
it in black and white. Super easy, and then you can just see what it looks like, and then you know how it'll look, especially on something like a live stream, which most people don't think about that contrast color being really, really helpful on a
Right.
live stream. So, anyways, I think that this has been so fun to talk. I could talk all day about thinking about your graphics and thinking about live streams for both having a solo show and a two-person show. Bradley, if I was better, I would have a graphic that shows where to reach you on all of the social channels. In fact, Bradley, I'm pretty sure you already made me this graphic and I just don't know how to use it yet. But for those of you, you can say it out loud. For those of you, for those folks out there that want to find you on the internet, where can they find you?
The easiest way is bradleyteaches.com, which is my website. You can also find me on YouTube at Bradley Teaches. Those are my two main places, and they're both Bradley Teaches. So just kind of look for me there. Then also don't forget to drop by bradleyteaches.com/BYB to get my free mini course where I'll show you the why of the branding graphics and the how to make them yourself. So that should be a fun little class. It's going to be like 5 little videos that you can watch, and we'll kind of walk you through that process.
Amazing. And Bradley is a really wonderful teacher. I know this because he's made me custom videos that I have rewatched slowly over and over again as I have been myself trying to learn how to do graphics on my live stream. So everyone right now, you are watching me literally do my first eCam live stream as well as my first graphics live stream. So I'll be brutally honest, I don't even know how to truly end this live stream, but we're gonna do this live right now. Everything, I love experimenting live because that to me is the true joy of doing live streams, is to not have it be too rehearsed. And that's why I'm sure, dear audience member, you are watching this right now.
Yeah.
Thank you again, Bradley, for joining. We hope to have you back on our lives again soon. Bye.
Love to be here. Thank you so much.